Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are tackling a massive question by looking at one very specific perspective on what makes us, well, us. The source material we're digging into today suggests there are four key things that really set human beings apart from everything else. You know, it's a question people have been asking forever. Are we just smarter animals at the top of the food chain, or is there something fundamentally different going on with us? This explainer is all about a viewpoint that argues, yes, there is a profound essential difference. All right, so here's how we're going to break it down. We're going to look at four big ideas from our source. First, the whole concept of being made in a divine image. Second, our incredibly unique social behavior. Third, this universal instinct we seem to have for worship. And finally, our one-of-a-kind relationship with life and death. So let's jump right in with the first one. The entire perspective we're exploring today really hinges on this core theological idea that humans are uniquely created in a divine image. It's a concept that has echoed through thousands of years of our history. And where does this idea come from? Well, the source material points directly to this passage from the book of Genesis. That key phrase, in his own image, is the whole ballgame right there. It's what sets the stage, suggesting we're in a completely different category from every other living thing. But hold on, what does image even mean here? It's definitely not about a physical resemblance, looking like a divine being in the mirror. No. According to this perspective, it's all about what we can do, a set of unique capabilities and responsibilities that are ours and ours alone. The source gets pretty specific, breaking this down into three main buckets. First, there's governance, our job, basically, to act as stewards for the planet. Then you've got relationship. We can connect with each other on physical, emotional, and even spiritual levels, which is incredibly complex. And finally, wisdom. The ability to think abstractly, to grasp truth and make judgments. That's way beyond basic animal instinct. Okay, so that's the foundational idea. Now, let's see how it actually shows up in the real world and how we behave. And this next part, pulling from the world of anthropology, is honestly pretty fascinating. Get this. Researchers ran studies comparing human toddlers to adult apes. When it came to physical tasks like solving a simple puzzle to get a treat, they were pretty much on par. But when it came to social learning by watching someone else, it wasn't even close. The toddlers were light years ahead. It's why the source doesn't just call us social, it calls us ultra-social. And this ultra-social nature, well, it leads to this really intense duality in humans that you just don't see anywhere else. It's the source of both our greatest good and, frankly, our most terrifying evil. I mean, just think about it for a second. We seem to be the only species that will perform an act of pure, selfless altruism, like helping a complete stranger in another country with no benefit to ourselves. But we're also the only species capable of pure spite, hurting someone else just for the sake of hurting them. That incredible, massive gap between our best and worst selves, the source argues that's a uniquely human thing. All right, let's shift gears from our social lives to our inner lives, because the source material points to another universal human drive, this deep-seated, powerful compulsion we all have to worship something. But first, we gotta clear something up. When ancient texts talk about the fear of the Lord, it's easy to think of being, terrified. But the source makes a key distinction. The original Hebrew word isn't pakad, which means dread or terror. It's yirah, which is much closer to awe, reverence, and piety. It's a completely different feeling. And that idea of reverence is absolutely crucial. The argument here is that this drive is so fundamental, so hardwired into us, that if we don't direct it toward a creator, we will find something else to worship. It could be an idea, a nation, money, power. We have to put something on that pedestal. So you see, the instinct doesn't just vanish if you get rid of religion, it just gets rerouted. Instead of the creator, we end up worshiping the creation, whether that's nature with a capital N, or human reason, or a political ideology. That impulse is always there, always looking for a target. The source actually points to some interesting examples from the world of science to make this point. Take Francis Crick, the co-discoverer of DNA's double helix. He famously urged biologists to constantly remind themselves that what they're seeing was not designed, which kind of makes you ask, why do they need a constant reminder? And he's not alone. The famous biologist Richard Dawkins wrote that biology is the study of things that have the powerful appearance of being designed for a purpose. So even while arguing it's all an illusion, he has to admit how strongly things look designed. The source presents these as examples of us grappling with an innate pull to see purpose and order in the world. All right, for our last section, we're going to talk about something really deep: our relationship with time and mortality. This might just be the most profound distinction of them all. And it starts with something you can actually count. On a purely biological level, we're outliers. Most large mammals get roughly 1 billion heartbeats in their entire lifetime. Us, we get close to 3 billion. Why do we get all that extra time? The source suggests this incredible longevity points to a different kind of purpose. And all that extra time gives us plenty of room to ponder the one question that seems to obsess only our species. So, what happens next? Seriously, no other animal seems to be bothered by this. But for humans, it's a fundamental question that echoes through every single culture across all of recorded history. And thinking about death naturally leads to this other thing we all have: a conscience, that little voice inside. We have this deep, persistent feeling that we're being evaluated, that our actions matter in some ultimate way. The source argues this feeling, this unshakable sense of accountability, is like a moral law written right into our hearts. So, let's just recap. We've looked at these 4 big ideas: that we're built for governance and wisdom, that we're ultra-social creatures capable of incredible extremes, that we have a built-in need to worship, and that we're the only ones who live with an awareness of eternity. If all that's true, if we really are this different, then it leaves us with the biggest question of all, doesn't it? What's it all for? What is our unique purpose? And that's the question this explainer leaves you to ponder.